How's it going, guys? Doing a quick video on the new SPK Lamia from the recent drop. Had about 110 pieces, I believe, 115 pieces on this last drop. So I just want to do a quick overview or first impression, whatever you want to call it. Just got this right before Christmas. So it comes in this black zipper pouch. There's no tags or anything like that, just a standard little cushion pouch. And then on the inside, we'll get to the knife in a second. We have this nice soft, let's see, kind of like a velvety feel, nice cushion to it. And then we do have sticker. And then we do have skiffs that are installed in the knife, this size. And then the washers that you can put in if you do want to add washers. I'll talk about these washers in a second here. Let's see. Now on this batch, they were all this exact configuration. So they're all gray, the hardware, clip, backspacer, everything matches. Just a nice gray kind of monochromatic look. So you see the pivots and all the hardware is nice uniform color. The backspacer, clip, definitely, I really like that. Real thin, and it has a nice amount of spring to it. Now with the handle here, you can see it does have that micro milling that you actually can feel. It's tactile. It's nice and gives you almost like a, I don't want to say that Chris Reeve Sebenza like sandy feel, because it's not that, but it has a nice soft feel to it. But the ridges on your fingerprints actually do made up with these little micro milling grooves pretty nice, and you definitely get a feel from that. See if I can get a close-up. And then as you can see, this is also stone washed, so it was obviously tumbled around to get that, see that, all that stone wash look there. It looks kind of beat up, and that's how it came from Alex. And I do like that finish, looks pretty nice. They don't have any of the micro milling on the clip itself, but as you can see here, if you can see closely on that clip, there are some little lines there kind of coming across from the machine. Let's see, can't really tell. This one is an Elmax, Superclean, with the EMX there. Other side, you got his maker's mark, the SPK. Came perfectly centered. And there is no detent play at all, or detent lash whatsoever, nice and stuck in there, which I really don't like when knives have play in the closed position. So it's definitely solid. And this one, you can slow roll. So let's get to that detent quick. Let's talk about that. Has a nice audible click. It's a perfect detent in my opinion. Not too strong, not too light, but it is really, really nice, as you can see. Gets that last little pop there. Now, what I do like about this detent setup is that you can slow roll it. Some other videos I've seen, guys can't slow roll. I do like to do that as an option, so this one is perfect for that. You can actually just quite easily grab and slow roll it out, or you can obviously give it that flick there. The blade is beautiful. You can see the milling on the blade. Now, one thing I will say about this milling with cutting a bunch of packages for Christmas, you know, I got young children, and this was definitely going through quite a bit of tape, cardboard, thick zip ties, things like that. And the glue on tape is a little bit more difficult to get rid of on this knife. When I was cleaning it off, I noticed some of the glue did want to kind of bind to those little tiny grooves. You can feel them when touching the blade. You can feel them ever so slightly. They're not deep by any means, but they are noticeable. You can feel it. So although it looks beautiful, glue and things like that do want to stick to it a little bit more than a standard blade that has like a belt satin or something like that. Now it is really nice. When you look at it in this light here, you can almost not see the micro milling. It just looks like a stone washed blade. But as the light kind of dances around the blade a little bit, you can definitely see all the milling. Now this plunge back here, this grind, is way back here. So, I mean, this is how knives should be done, in my opinion. You definitely have a whole ton of life on this edge before you would ever see a smile. I mean, you'd have to sharpen off a 1/4 inch of this blade before you even, I mean, that won't happen. So I really like that. The thumb hole has slight chamfer. It's soft. It's not like a deep chamfer or anything like that, but it is definitely not sharp by any means. So as you can see, there's slightly, it was probably just softened by tumbling, but it is comfortable. It's not sharp. The spine is also slightly chamfered on the edges too, like softened, I should say. So they're not sharp. It's not like a 90-degree, as you can see with that light. So that's also nice. Blade is very thin behind the edge. I don't have any calipers to measure it. It does get slightly thicker towards the tip, as you can see there, ever so slightly. It's a nice even grind. It's sharpened by hand from Alex, as I think he said in one of his videos. Now the spine thickness is consistent all the way up here, and then it slowly starts to taper. So it's not like needle-like at the tip. So it has a pretty robust tip, which I was kind of surprised to see. It seemed like it would have been a lot thinner and more dainty, but it's actually carries a lot of material towards the tip here. So it's a very robust tip, actually. So I do appreciate that. The let's see, the lockup is solid, as ever, super solid lockup. It is quite early. I don't know if I can get in there. You can see it's probably about, what would we say, 25% maybe. Yeah, maybe at most 25%. The detent ball is white, so I forget what that was. I don't want to say ceramic. I forget the exact material for that detent ball, but it is actually white in color, almost like a porcelain or something look, even though it's not porcelain, but I mean like the color. So I don't have a, see if we can get in there better. Yeah, there you go. That's pretty neat. I really forget what material that was. But anyway, pretty neat to see that. It does have, it does disengage quite early with the detent. So as soon as you disengage, let's see if we can, so it's disengaged and it hits there. So it could have been a little earlier, but you don't really notice it. I mean, I know Alex goes through all his stuff when he's doing this kind of thing here. So the detent is probably exactly, obviously, where he wants it to be, but it doesn't actually hit the ball until here. So at this point is touching the detent ball. There's a detent ramp, and then we can push past that. So very smooth, very nice knife. Let's see here. The pivot is T15, and these are T8. We're gonna actually open this knife here in a second to take a quick peek inside before I end the video. So overall, I do like this knife. It did lose its super keen edge from cutting all those boxes and zip ties. Still sharp. I did strop it. I got one of these strops that I use. Nothing too special, but a quick strop on this guy. A few passes and it works out pretty good. Now for size comparison, let's do a quick quick show of this Delica. It's gonna be a little harder to see because of the angle, but so here's just a Spyderco Delica. See if I can try to get those lined up. And switch the position of these knives. So it's roughly, let's see, if I can, it's definitely bigger than the Delica, but not by much. So it's right around that, a little bigger than the Delica, but not a huge knife by any means. The Delica does weigh 2.33 ounces, and the Lamia weighs 3.67 ounces. So, and I think the, let's get an overall length, is gonna be about just under 7.5 inches, about 19 centimeters. The blade length is about 3.25, just over 3.25, and the cutting edge is right under 3.25, roughly 8 centimeters for the cutting edge. And the handle length is, what do we got there? About 4.25. So yeah, it's about a medium-sized knife. Bigger than the Oz Roosevelt. If you guys are familiar with the Oz Roosevelt, that's a smaller knife. Solid lockup, no play, like I said. What I do like about this knife is when I get a good grip on it, I can get all the way up on that blade for some push cuts, or just to have more control. You can get way up on there, real close to that. You can see that there. And I do like that the blade mates up with these scales to give you a full contact on this portion. So when you do choke up on it, you're getting a full contact here all across. It's not like the blade is actually in like recessed or anything. It's actually nice and flush with the scales. So you get a nice feel up here, and you really know that you got a nice confident grip on that. There's no jimping throughout the entire knife, which is fine with me. Not a big deal. I would like to have seen maybe like a geared backspacer, like some kind of texturing back here, maybe some jimps back here for aesthetics, and maybe a couple little jimps up here, so that when you are choking up on it, you kind of get a feel to know you're getting close to that edge. Because I have actually, when I was cutting a few boxes, I did want to be careful I don't get too high up and cut myself. So as I was grabbing the knife, I was like, where am I? I wanted to make sure I wasn't walking up too far. So it would be nice to maybe have a couple little jimps here to kind of give you that reference point, like, okay, I'm as far as I should be before I get to the danger zone up here, but that's not a big deal whatsoever. It's just would be nice, But I do really like how there is no jimping. It does feel really nice as well. So let's see here. I do want to get the knife opened up real quick so that we could take a peek. Now on the last, I don't know if the last batch or the batch before that, Alex was adding some animals or, some type of creatures or whatnot on the inside as like an Easter egg or something. I don't know what the deal is with that, but I do know that this one does have a little creature inside, our animal in there. So we'll take a look at that. I did see on another video that was like, I want to say it was a fish of some sort on the inside. So that was kind of neat. So let's see, T15 for the pivot. So we'll back that out. Now I did put some thread tape on here. That's one thing I like to use personally, is thread tape instead of Loctite. So where the hell did that tape go? It's kind of hard to see that thread tape, but it's this stuff here. So that way you don't have to wait 24 hours for it to dry. Just plumber's tape. You can put a little bit of this on your screws and tighten them down, and it works great. You don't need to wait, like I said, for anything to dry up or anything. So we got the pivot here. As you can see, it's a nice size screw. Now we're gonna go for the body screw, which is a T. 8. And we're gonna get inside this knife. Now, I did add the washers that I showed you just to try them out. The Teflon washers are being sent later. Alex stated in a video he will be sending those out. He was waiting on a package for those. So I'm gonna try those as well. So you got nice screws, real nice quality. Let me see, where were those? Okay, these guys here, these washers work fine, but it is super stiff when I put them on, like super stiff action. So I think personally, I prefer the bearings on this knife, even though I love washer knives. On this knife, I'm curious to see how the Teflon is gonna work. But as far as those phosphor bronze washers, that's definitely gonna take some time to break in because it is really tight. Even with the pivot screw just slightly tightened down, it's pretty damn tight. If you try to torque those screws any bit at all, the pivots, the knife doesn't even wanna open and close. It's like really solid, real tight. Like I said, even without trying to put too much, I'm not like cranking down my pivots by any means, and it's definitely really tight with those PB washers. So on the inside here, we don't have steel washers in there. You don't need them. Like Alex said, I agree, you don't really need them at all, unless you're cranking the hell out of your pivots and it'll just feel really nasty and rocky or whatever, so you shouldn't need them. So they're not there. You do have the American flag cut into there, so you can definitely feel that. It's pretty neat, nice and clean machining. You do have your stop pin here, it's removable, nice and tight. Now this is your stop for the open and for the close. You have your SPK here. You have your blade with your skiffs. Let's remove those. You see how I got a little bit of KPL in there, not much, but a little bit. This is where the pin, that stop pin holds, it makes contact for the open, and then for the closed, it makes contact right here. You can see that. So it also would have been nice to see maybe a little bit of shouldering here, but like I said, not a big deal. It's super solid. So here is your, you have a detent ramp, pretty nice, generous detent ramp at that, and a nice detent hole. Doesn't go all the way through, but doesn't need to. So there's our blade. And then we have that animal we were talking about. You can see, looks like a teddy bear. So we got the teddy bear face or head in there. Pretty neat. The clip is screwed in from the inside, so we got hidden hardware. Real nice. We don't have a, well, it's a free spinning pivot, so another thing that would be nice to have updated, maybe one of these future generations where the we got a captured pivot would be nice, but no big deal. And there's that detent. Looks like it's about the same size as the bearings and the skiffs actually. And then you can see we do have an over travel stop. That's real nice. And then obviously our milling. So you do have a pin here that helps keep the scales nice and secure. So it's not like that one screw is just all the only securing point. You do have a pin here that you can't see coming in this scale as well. So you do have other points of strength for the knife. So let's get this thing put back together quick. Put our little pivot in there. Yeah, overall though, I really do like the knife. It's pretty neat. A couple other improvements, like I said, would be maybe some shouldering, maybe a little jimping down the road, whatever. Not everybody would agree. But I'm not complaining, just throwing some ideas out there. I do like the little teddy bear thing, it's kind of cool. Let's see. Very simple to put back together and disassemble, which I like. Let's see. So if you guys grabbed one, I don't know, maybe comment below. Let me know if you ended up picking one up on the drop. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you're gonna wait for one of his new ones that he got coming out. The contoured frames with more milling. Those look pretty neat too. And then I guess Alex is not doing any anodizing either, so they're gonna be pretty much like this monochromatic look for the most part, which I'm okay with. Let's see. Yep, solid. And that even is a little tight, but you can see it wants to drop right away. There you go. Oh. The detent could have been a little stronger, but if it was, you wouldn't be able to slow roll it so nice. And I really like that slow roll, so I'm okay with the detent where it is, to be honest. But I personally do like strong detents. But this one is nice, and you can't really shake it out. Like, you have to really, yeah, this ain't gonna shake out. It really ain't going nowhere. Also, with the hands on the lock bar, I don't really have any issue with that with unlocking the knife. Even if I'm slow rolling, my hands these fingers automatically kind of land on the clip, and I'm able to just slow roll, no problem. So I never have any issues like touching the lock bar and the knife jamming up on me. That doesn't happen for me. And then flicking is fine. Thumb flicking works great. Spidey flicking is fine. That works great. Slow roll, like I said, is fine. Same thing with my left hand, no issues. Then you can slow roll. The knife is kind of quiet. It's louder with the left hand. With the right hand, though, it's real quiet. And then the close, you get a nice little, yeah. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about the Lamia. This one's most likely gonna stay in the collection just because he's gonna start making different models and different configurations, and this one really isn't gonna be made anymore. So I'm gonna keep testing this Elmax Superclean, and I'll make a future video on any updates or a long-term review. So until then, you guys can check out my Instagram if you want to see some photos of it. Grim flips. And we'll see you on the next one, guys.